Series Month continues with a new series, James Bond 007. I'm Zach Bishop. Welcome to 4 Films. Now, of course, there are a lot of James Bond films, but today we're talking about the Craig-era films. The long-running super spy franchise known by the titular character James Bond has been running for over 50 years, and they got a reboot in 2006, starting over with the first film, Casino Royale. In the film, Bond, after obtaining his 00 status, and therefore his license to kill, must enter a deadly game of poker while working with a mysterious and intriguing woman and stopping a very obvious villain. As a fan of most of the James Bond films that I've seen, I figured, yeah, it's a James Bond film. But this one also strongly focuses on character development, which was a genuine good surprise. Along with that surprise was a focus on continuity. You see, it lays the seeds for future films as well. And on the technical and quality side, it really set the bar as a new standard of how James Bond films could be made, and should be made. It's also worth noting that the theme song done by Chris Cornell is a great reintroduction to the Bond character. He's like an old friend that you missed, and he's back to kick all ass. For England, of course. Oh, one last thing that this film has that makes it absolutely amazing is the wonderful Eva Green. Absolutely amazing actress, one of the greatest actresses of all time, and stunningly, absolutely beautiful. I love you, Eva Green! So just 2 years later, the Bond journey continued with 2008's Quantum of Solace. While it wasn't as well received as Casino Royale, I think it's a great follow-up and continuation, and it still has that focus on the personal story. Also on the plus side, it does have a shorter runtime than most of the traditional Bond films, which in this case, it kind of works to its advantage. You get straight to the point. And while it may not be as memorable as Casino Royale, it definitely kept the new Bond momentum going. And a highlight of this film, just like in the previous one, is one of the actors, Joaquin Casio. This Mexican actor is one of the main villains of the film, but I know him from 2011's Pastorela and from the Netflix show Gentefied. I also have to mention the theme song is by Jack White and Alicia Keys. It's a little odd, but it kind of works. So this film wraps up a big plot point, but it also continues the larger arc for the whole series as we move on to the third film. And that film, which we got 4 years later, was 2012's Skyfall. To me, this is the Empire Strikes Back of the Bond films. Not so much that it's as good as Empire Strikes Back or anything like that, but it is the deconstruction of the concepts, characters, and cars of the series. A figure from M's past comes seeking revenge and a fitting end. And in the process, this film strips down Bond to just the man that he is. A man with only his family by his side. And while this film got a lot of praise, just like Casino Royale, it doesn't feel as engaging to me as Quantum of Solace was. And if this was the last James Bond film, it would make sense, but really this is the exact middle film of the series. So you know it's not quite over yet. There's still this mysterious organization that Bond has to deal with, and whoever's behind it. Also, the theme song by Adele, it's kind of lame. Kind of very lame. It sounds like a parody of a Bond song. Now, if you're a longtime Bond fan, you could probably guess what this evil organization was. I mean, even as a kid, I understood that it was an evil organization. They mentioned it in a couple films. So, in Quantum of Solace, when I realized, oh, they're working for an evil organization, gee, who could it be? I wonder. It's Spectre. Which brings us to 3 years later, we get 2015's Spectre. Man, I thought this film was going to be crazy, but it wasn't really. Even with the reveal of the villain and his connections to Bond, it doesn't feel anywhere near as strong as it should be. Like, Skyfall was already a deconstruction, and now going that same kind of route with the dismantling of the 00 program, it feels kind of redundant. And that kind of sucks because there was a lot of concepts in this film that were introduced that we don't really follow up on. And so this isn't really a spoiler, but Christoph Waltz is the bad guy, and while he's good at it, I think Raul Silva was a better evil character with a connection to Bond and M's past, whereas this one he has a connection to Bond specifically, but he doesn't get enough screen time to really make that stick. The series' overall lack of flashbacks or scenes to show how this connects really kind of takes you out of the story. Because everything keeps moving forward. There's no going back to things, but a lot of the stories focus on things from their past. So I really do hope that the 5th and supposedly final film with Daniel Craig has a very satisfying conclusion. Because, there's still questions that linger. Like, will Spectre be defeated? What will Bond do in retirement? Will Eva Green return? God, I hope so. So out of the films we have so far, let's rate them and see where they stand. Casino Royale. 8 out of 10. This is the quintessential Bond film that you need to see, because even if you were never a fan of James Bond, you might like this version. It gives him much needed character development and kind of humanizes him in a way while still keeping everything about Bond that is. Quantum of Solace. 7 out of 10. While not as good as Casino Royale, it's definitely still part of it. It feels like it's the second chapter of the same story. Now, some people probably don't like that kind of thing in a film because they expect a sequel to stand on its own. But really, if you watch Casino Royale and then watch Quantum of Solace right after, it fits perfectly. And I really love the personal story in it. That whole ending is amazing with the fight scene and the fire and everything. It's badass. I love that. That's James Bond shit. Skyfall. 6 out of 10. I just don't feel that this movie was anywhere near as good as everyone said. It really feels kind of lackluster as opposed to the first two. But it's not terrible. It's not bad. It's just not as good. Yeah, it has a big moment with M and Bond and all that stuff and kind of a conclusion to their story. But again, it feels like the big story arc is about finding out about Spectre and how all these events are connected. So Skyfall's really kind of an emotional trick. It makes you feel like this is important, but it's not that important. And then Spectre. 5 out of 10. Again, it moves the story forward, and there's things that should mean something, but they don't really because you have no context for it. And it feels like they kind of tried to recreate Skyfall, in terms of the emotional trickery. It works even less. It's a little bit more boring than Skyfall, which is a damn shame. So to me, the films sadly have diminishing returns, but I'm still hooked on the character and the story, and I want to see him just take down Spectre and beat the shit out of Christoph Waltz. Just personally whoop his ass. I think that would be great. But that's all for now. I have a mission to go on. Now, who do you work for? Don't move.
Hello, Mr. Bond. It seems you've found me.
It seems your man had a loose tongue.
I'm sorry, James, but the head of the evil organization isn't me.
I knew it. There's always bigger fish to fry. Happy Father's Day, bad day.
Ron, you're alive.
Sorry, I'll jump. No time to die. What happens when you take for feelings? You bring them together, then tear them apart. You get for fails, you get for fails, you get for fails. What happens when there's no solace in your quantum? Your Skyfall.